Good morning, and welcome to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here in the studio of Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM, WBISLP. And just want to say good morning, Calvin.
Good morning, Renee, and good morning to our awesome radio listeners out there, to all of you.
And I'm just going to put our number out there so that we can make sure that we get support from our listening audience, Calvin, because we are going to make sure that we get support. We had a very busy weekend. I'm here, but I'm not sure. Do you see me? Am I here?
You're here, but the thing too, Renee, is that a lot of people don't realize we are sort of busy people. But today is a great day because not only are we here, but we're able to give our awesome radio listeners out there, some information that I think they need to hear. Not only need to hear, but we have listeners, Renee, all over the country and even outside the country, which is a blessing to us.
Yes, it is. And sometimes we're able to acknowledge them, but then I won't blame Calvin. I'll blame myself that I get on a roll and I can't. And particularly if because I'm very passionate about this political arena, and that is so important. And we said that every show we were going to make sure that we said good morning, not only good morning, but we talk about voting and how important voting is, and making sure that our listening audience, they make a plan, they know what to do, how to do it, and getting as many people to the polls as possible. And the reason why, again, I always say this, Calvin, is because we have got to take this political arena very serious, because there are so many things on the ballot. And this is where I say you have got to do your homework. You have got to know what are these candidates, what is their purpose. If we are giving money and paying them a salary to do a job, and they are thinking that the job they're doing is satisfactory to us, well, then that's fine and good. But they need to hear from us to make sure. Now, there are some people who think certain parties are just doing a fabulous job. And I'd like to hear from the listening audience at 252-756-2008. If you feel that when there's a bill out there that they should be voting for and they choose not to, well, then I even like to hear from the politicians or the Congress people as to why they don't feel that they should vote for a baby formula bill, or Calvin, a veterans bill that would help the veterans who have been out there serving the country, and now they have cancer, they have all different types of things, and when it comes and a bill is put there for it to vote to get additional funding for veterans, we have a whole set of people who have not voted, and we don't want to. We want a country that is united for all people. However, ever since Trump, who lost the election, and he put out there that election deniers, that President Biden is not the legitimate president, nor Vice President Kamala Harris. And so people are aligning themselves. And we all know that we have had candidates that Trump was on the top of the ballot, and then you have people still in his party, part of those election deniers. They are there, okay, and they won their elections. However, they are saying that, well, they are believing that Trump should have won the election. Well, if Trump didn't win the election and you do, and you're all on the same ballot, what does that mean?
Well, that's a good question, Renee, because actually we need some of our awesome radio listeners out there to call in, and let us know what you think about that. Because if he was on the ballot, if everybody's on the same ballot, and one person is saying, well, it was a fraudulent loss or win, then what about the rest of the people that's on the ballot? That's why voting is so important. And as you said, Renee, we're going to be talking about voting until November the 8th because that's how important it is.
And then also, um, our President Biden, okay, who's the president for all people, he has done a remarkable job for the past 2 years. So many things that he has put in place that will make a difference for the world and for years to come. And so we have got to understand that we have election deniers, um, the liar in chief, former President Trump, and now we are going to talk about and celebrate that, yes, gas prices were off the chart. However, I don't know if you notice, Calvin, but gas is almost is way down. I mean, considering to where we started from.
Well, Renee, I'm going to just say this here. When the gas prices was going up, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of GOP people was blaming President Biden for the prices of gas going up, which he have no control over. But now that the prices are going down, not only going down, Renee, but they have gone down almost $1, since they started going down last month. And you don't hear nothing out of them now. You don't hear them saying that or giving Biden the credit for going down, price going down. But as soon as the price going up, they want to give him the credit for the price going up of gas. Which, I always say, if you're going to give it one way, you have to give it both ways. When it's going up and when it's going down, not just one way.
So,
and that's the way it is, But, Renee, what else do you have? What's the next topic?
okay, so we're going to talk about the chip bill. We're going to talk about the veterans bill. We're going to talk about the inflation reduction bill. We're going to try to break it down to our listening audience where they can understand and appreciate how their quality of life is going to change. Because the what is it? This one is the Inflation Reduction Act. That is the largest bill that has ever passed in Washington. And it's important that we understand that this bill, which they put 430 billion into it to fight climate change, and all of course is that what's causing our climate to be, and some people are even climate deniers, that they, even though they see states flooding out, they see these unlimited unnatural forest fires because it's so that they have these heavy droughts. They don't feel that it has anything to do with climate. However, scientists, it's not us people talking, scientists have proven that because of the energy or the emissions that are going in from the different types of fuels that we're using to give us electricity, these are the things, okay, that this bill is going to attack. They want to make sure that people start moving towards electric cars. So in this bill, there's going to be money that's going to make the electric car process even cheaper. And they're going to be promoting clean energy, which means that you're going to see more solar things. And then this bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, it gives Medicare the opportunity to negotiate drug prices. A lot of people in our Senate, and this is why we have to look at how they vote for various bills, they are in the pockets of the drug company. We spoke about how they are in the pocket of NRA or the gun manufacturing companies. And then one of the things that they voted for was a $35 price cap on the insulin. And now the only people who can take advantage of that are the seniors. But when you look at this country and see how many people, and it's not just Black people, even though a lot of Black people are diabetic, I'll raise my hand, but I'm not insulin dependent. What I am is I take pills for my diabetes. So, but yet there are like a lot of people, particularly the type 1s, where it was costing them so much money, and even to the point that they could not afford it. And now this bill has passed that particularly for seniors. Now, if you have a private insurance, you're going to have to still pay whatever the drug company is looking for to buy your insulin. And again, who pressed hard to make sure that not all people could have a cap on insulin are your people in Congress, the Republicans. And I'm not going to call, and I can't help myself, Calvin, to call out Republicans because they need to know that, and we here in North Carolina, our two representatives are Republicans. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to use the five caller act to call them and say, you got to do better. This bill that you did not vote for is a bill that could make a difference in our lives. So yesterday, the Senate, under the leadership of Chuck Schumer, they voted on this Inflation Reduction Act, and it was only done by and for this particular bill, they did not have to have
Well, let me just come in here for a second, because on Sunday afternoon, the U.S. Senate passed a $750 billion, that's with a B, climate change, healthcare, and tax bill. And the tax bill is so important because, now these large companies that wasn't paying any taxes before will pay at least 15% in taxes. If you remember when Trump was in office, he took that away from them. They didn't have to pay taxes. So, but now they're going to have to pay taxes. That has quickly come to represent a cornerstone of President Biden's promises. If you recall, when he was running for office, he said he was going to do these things and prospects ahead of the midterm election in November. And over the weekend, a marathon debate ensued as Republicans attempt to stop the bill process to the House. But its passage was ensured after Vice President Kamala Harris delivered her tiebreaker vote. And see, that is so important because the bill was 50-50. No Republican voted on this bill. And all of the Democrats voted on this bill. And Vice President Kamala Harris, she was a tiebreaker. So it was 51-50 along party lines. That is just so important. Why is it that, you know what, Renee? I'm going to ask any GOP person out there, any Republican out there that want to call in and explain this to us, why they would not vote for this bill, to give us a call and explain it to us, because I would like to know why they didn't vote for this bill.
And they, well, and or any of the bills, the veteran care bill, after the pressure of the people, and that's what it is. We have got to put pressure on our elected officials, because by putting the pressure and them understanding, because a lot of them are up for re-election. And this is why we say, do your homework. If you do your homework, do you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is we're going to say, listen, you were there in Washington, and you did not vote for the baby formula. You did not vote for the Veterans Bill. You did not vote for the Inflation Reduction Act. There's so many things. And what we have to make sure is we have to understand that if they 2 years ago, excuse me, if 2 years ago they were re-elected and the President Trump was not elected, however, they certified or they verified that their election was legitimate. And then now Trump not winning, it was illegitimate, and it wasn't President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris didn't win. I'm confused, Calvin, as to how they are now justifying their act that they are in office and Trump is out of office but needs to be put back in office. And I'm just saying, do your homework. Because if you have a newborn baby, if you got a grandbaby, and the formula for milk was scarce and you couldn't get it, and then President Biden put a bill out there to implemented a whole plan to get baby formula here, and you have a person that you sent to Congress to vote, and they don't vote. Well, then what are they not going to do? If you are insulin dependent and you have a Congress, senators that did not vote to cap insulin, well, and you're on insulin and you're going to sit up there and put that person back in office?
But see, I don't. That's what I don't understand, Renee. Because if someone says to you, well, I'm going to vote, and do what you asked me to do when I get into office, a Congress or senator, and then I get up there, and then I do what the special interest groups come to me and say, I'm going to give you some money to vote for the way I want you to vote. Well, then you don't need to be voted back in, and I don't care who you are. But the thing, though, is that so many of these individuals, what happened, Renee, is that they have relationships with individuals back in their own communities. And when they come back to their community, then they tell them what they want, they think that the individual want to hear. And then they vote them right back into office. But that's why we always say, check their report card. Check the ones that don't vote. They're absent during certain voting procedures, because that's the same thing as a no vote. And we have to look at that and make sure that we are paying attention. I can't tell you how important it is, because I don't understand how, I just call it out. Tillis, he voted against some of these bills that would help veterans, help some of us right here in North Carolina. He's our senator here. But Renee, I don't know.
No, well, we're going to find out, because midterm elections are here. And again, what's on the ballot? Gun reform. They didn't put on part of it as background checks. They're still allowing 18-year-olds to be able to get these AR guns. So we need to have stronger gun control laws. Police reform. You could say, well, we wanted the George Floyd bill to pass, and Congress didn't vote on it. So it might not look, but it's not to say that that bill was not enacted or put in place, but we couldn't get the votes. And why couldn't you get the votes? Because you have people who are not supporting President Biden's agenda. So yes, police reform, we need to get that back out there, because that was the George Floyd bill. And I'm not going to hold the current president, Biden, accountable for that, because he has done everything that he can, and he even signed the bill, executive order for police reform. And we need to make sure that when we speak about police reform, that it's going to be in the act, or in the fact that it's going to make a difference in our lives. We are still dying. We are still being murdered by the police. So we need to make sure that we have the right laws in place.
And I just want to say this about the police, Renee. We are not anti-police, okay, because we have a lot of police in our family, but we are anti-bad policing. And that's the problem. If you have one or two bad police in your precinct, well, then the good ones are just to blame if they don't do something about it. They don't speak up and talk about those ones that are bad. I have an example, Renee, if you don't mind me going off for a second.
Well, I was going to list what was on the ballot.
Okay.
And then we can, but you go ahead and do your thing.
Okay, but what happened is, I had an individual that used to work for me, and he became a policeman, and he said he was going to go and clean up this particular area. Well, about 6 months later, he came right back asking for his job back, because the good police did not allow him to do what he thought he was going to be able to do to our folks. And that's what we're talking about here. We need the good policemen, to stand up, talk up, and get rid of these bad ones. There's no reason why, if someone is in a police car, they should fall out of that police car while the police car is moving. That's bad policing in my eyes, Renee.
Okay, so again, we're going to talk about what's on the ballot. Now, you know that Trump wanted to be put back in office and be the forever president. I don't know how you felt when he was in that office, but I know how I felt. So democracy is on the ballot. We spoke about gun reform, police reform. Now they're putting out all those voter suppression laws. So we're going to say voting rights, and that was the John Lewis bill. I think we're coming up for a break, Calvin. I was trying to do this before the break.
Oh, okay.
And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. I want to thank Calvin, all our listening audience that come back every Monday at 10 o'clock and or throughout whenever they choose to look at our or repeat our show for their listening pleasure and just to be informed. So I want to thank you all for being here with us here at Awesome Radio 106.9 WBISLP. And before the break, Calvin, I was just talking and trying to have, excuse me, to give our listening audiences their reason, and of these reasons that I'm saying, why it's so important that not only if they're in our listening voice, that they vote, but they get everybody else to come out and to vote. Because if we don't stand united at this point and support the good things that happen, that is happening for us, and there's more to come. We still haven't gotten that tuition break that President Biden put out there when he was running for office, that he was going to get rid of some of the debt caused by student loans. We haven't been able to get that yet, but I believe that's going to come. And a lot of times, unless Congress knows that they have the votes that are going to be put out there, then sometimes they want to hold off. However, by voting and getting some more people that side with President Biden, then the bills and the things that he wants to do for us, it will happen. So again, voting rights, that was the John Lewis bill. Getting dark money out of campaigns, that was the HR 1 bill. Reproductive freedom. Now that they want to tell women what they can do with their body, it's like we're going back into the dark ages. So that if we allow each one of these individual states to say, a woman, I'm going to tell you what you can do to your body, and if you come out of my box, I'm going to have you arrested. I'm going to put you in jail. Listen, doctor, I know you went to school and you're medical, but I'm going to tell you what I want you, that if you do something and I say that that's not what I want you to do, I'm going to take your license for you, and I can even possibly put you in jail.
You know, I just have to say this here to our awesome radio listeners out there. I do not understand, and I'm asking some of our male listeners out there to give us a call at 252-756-2008 and explain to me why that these men want to control our women's bodies. You know, going to tell them what they can and can't do with their own body. How is it that a man can say, well, a woman can't have, you know, certain things done, you know, when it affects their life? You know, I guarantee you, if a man could get pregnant, they would be having so many abortions that it would be crazy, you know. You can't even get a man to have a vasectomy. You know. So how is it that we gonna control our sisters, our wives, our mothers? You know, how are we gonna control their body? You know, we need to get this straight, Renee, and just just get it out there. You know, these individuals that's in the Supreme Court, you know, these individuals that's governors and senators, you know, and congressmen, we need to let them know that we have men out there that are supporting our sisters in this fight, you know, so that they can control their own body. That's what it's about. Women should be able to control their own body, not men trying to tell them what to do or not do with their body.
All right. So any man want to come up and talk? 252-756-2008. But it's a serious matter. These are serious things that we're having conversations. And rather internalize it, this is an opportunity for you to verbally say, well, listen, this is how I feel about this issue at 252-756-2008. But it's so important that we understand that this is a control thing. They'll take little by little. I mean, they're going to tell you who you can marry, who you can't marry. They're going to tell you in a mixed race relationship, married to somebody. They're going to tell you, no, you can't do that. So I'm just saying to you, you have to be able to say, well, listen, I want this. This is why I'm sending you to Washington to represent me. And those are senators and House of Representatives. And we know from the time they stood so strong with denying, they got reelected and they denied that, and they wouldn't vote to certify. And then we have this insurrection. I mean, how scary was that insurrection where what is that they put up to hang Mike Pence? A gallows?
Yeah, gallows.
You know, I mean, how did they get that to Washington? How did they get that to the Capitol? So that if they had found Pence, they would have hanged him. They would have killed Nancy Pelosi. These are dangerous people, and they are getting stronger because their voices are getting longer and louder because they have so many ways that they can communicate their feelings. So again, listening audience, I'm just asking you to stop and redirect what is important to you in your life. Again, if you are an insulin dependent diabetic, and now as a senior person, because they gave the numbers, I don't remember all the numbers of how many seniors paying a cap of $35 a month for insulin, how it's going to improve their quality of life because so many didn't have the money to buy it, so they would be doing without it. So many have been dying. And then we have to make sure, Calvin, that and when we speak about health, that we talk about the monkeypox. We didn't talk about that, or the coronavirus. People are still getting the virus. It has not disappeared. And depending on who and what TV channel you look to, they will tell you that that they are there's no more coronavirus. There's no more monkeypox. And if you are a homosexual male, that's the only ones that are getting it. That's a myth. That is not true. Anybody, children have been getting the monkeypox. Anyone can get it if you come in touch or come in contact with someone who has it. Protect yourself. Be your own owner and own your body to say, well, listen, this is what I want. This is what I don't want.
Okay. And you know, we still need to wear that mask. You know, I know when Renee and we went out the other day, and we were probably, it's only a couple out of about 50 people. There was maybe about 4 or 5 people that were still wearing the mask. You know, and you know, Renee, I talked to the guy, and he had the COVID twice, and he still refused to wear a mask. His wife was wearing a mask, but he wasn't. You know, and that's what I don't understand about some of us. You know, we think that because we had it one time, we're not going to get it again. We can get it again and again and again. You just have to protect yourself and do the right thing, because I'm telling you, you know, I always say this here. This COVID disease, virus, it mutates, and the human body does not mutate, okay? But the virus, it mutates so that, if you had it once and you say, well, I'm not going to get it again, it will mutate to the point where it can invade your body again. And that's what it's all about, because, not this individual, he can't even walk. He says it's because it has affected him a long time. And now we are saying to you, our awesome radio listeners out there, protect yourself, protect your family. One of the things that I say, and it's kind of hard, but I say, when people love someone, you're going to protect them. Well, that's the same thing with this virus. You have your children, protect your children. Wear your virus, get your vaccine. That is just so important, Renee, that we tell them this.
Yeah, and then we, just real quick before we come for this next break, children are going back to school. Some have started school today. What is the safeguard that you have, or how do you feel about putting your children back in school after all these mass shootings in the schools? And you have to understand how important the members of your school board are, that they are putting things in place like, oh, we don't want your children to learn this, or we want the teachers to have guns. You have got to go to your school board meetings. You have got to understand that voting down the ballot and voting for the people, or putting people on your school board who are going to be representative of you, is so important, that you make sure that you get the right person in there on your school board, as the mayor, as your commissioner, as your city council. Understand what they're doing. We're coming up for another break. Thank you. We'll be right back from Awesome Radio. Don't look at me like that. And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. And Calvin, we have quite a bit of conversations. We're trying to do the show, read the comments and post the ones that we can. But what we didn't talk about here on Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBISLP, and maybe perhaps you might want to call in at 252-756 to join 2008 to join the conversation. But what we didn't talk about, and this was another very important bill that got passed, and a lot of, again, the Republicans didn't vote for this bill, but it's the CHIP bill. And if you're one of the people that maybe ordered a car, or maybe something happened to your car where you have it in the shop and you're waiting to get maybe a chip or a little board that goes into the car to keep it functioning. And the reason why is that it has to come from China. So now they put a bill in place that because in the past, there have been quite a few presidents that have sent a lot of the work that was done here in this country over to China and to other places to do. And what President Biden, I mean, I keep talking about him, I guess because he's the president, but what he has done is say, no, we're bringing these jobs back. And when these are jobs that are going to be big money paying jobs. And if you're there and you're still making the minimum wage, prepare yourself for these jobs that are coming back here to America. And it's going to make a difference because these chips, rather than wait for it to come from China or be stuck on a boat out there in the ocean, it's going to be right here and it's going to make a difference. You have something to say, Cal?
Yes, I do, Renee. There was 11 Republican senators that voted against the health care bill for veterans. And I was surprised that Senator Tom Tillis, right here in North Carolina, voted against that bill for veterans. So again, we have to look at these individuals and what we're saying to our listening audience out there is, call his office and tell him, how you feel about him not voting for this bill for veterans. Renee, a lot of people don't understand that right here in Greenville, Pitt County, and Morehead City, we have over 20,000 veterans. Those are the ones that are just listed with the VA, not the ones that are not listed, okay? And there's probably more than that that's not listed with the VA. But my point in saying that is that for someone not to vote for health care for veterans that sacrifice their life, sacrifice their time on this earth to support freedom, because freedom is not free. Let me just put that out there. Freedom is not free. Veterans, military individuals protect this country. All over the world they go to protect this country. And for someone to say that they're not going to vote for veterans health care is very deplorable. I got to stop on that because I'm getting upset here.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do, okay, because again, Calvin and Renee, we're doing our homework. We're watching what these Congress people, House of Representatives and senators are doing. Okay. And by doing that, we know the voting history of anyone who's representing us, either at the General Assembly, which means your state legislators, or your congressional people, which means the ones that go to Washington. And we know that for this, and this is just an example, we know that Tom Tillis, Senator, represents us here in North Carolina, and he didn't vote for the Veterans Bill. But did you know that in Indiana, Mike Caprio, he didn't? So if you're listening to us and you're in Indiana, well, then you need to find out why this guy did not vote for the Veterans Bill. You have a Senator like Langford in Oklahoma. If you're in Oklahoma, well, you need to find out why he didn't vote. Do your homework on these candidates that are looking for to be reelected in the midterms. A Utah person, Mike Lee, didn't vote. A Cynthia Loomis, Wyoming, she didn't vote for the veterans. And if you are a veteran, okay, and you heard this name because maybe you are in Wyoming or Kentucky, Rand Paul, or in Indiana, James Rich. If you're in those states and you are a veteran, call and they representing you, or you do your homework. Alabama, okay, Pennsylvania, Alabama again, Utah. So two representatives, senatorial representatives from Utah voted against the Veterans Bill. And you are a veteran. Like my husband here, he was attacked with Agent Orange. And I thank God that he takes good care of himself, or I take better care of him. But I thank God that that he survived Agent Orange. So many of our veterans didn't. Okay, how many veterans are still around from the Vietnam War? And now you have the other wars where there's like chemical toxins that they were exposed to. and they are dying, okay, or that they don't have the proper care or the economics, because not all veterans have been declared 100%. However, they have been exposed to these
These
toxins.
toxins, and these toxins, there's so many of them. They go paint, plastics, when the feces that are burned, all these things are burned, and then when you're out there burning it, you are getting the odor, you're smelling it. It's amazing, Renee.
So, so again, I'm using us, Calvin, from North Carolina as an example. We use the 5 caller app. We call these Congress people Republicans and saying, hey, this is what we want you to do. And they're not doing it. I mean, you have got to understand that the midterms, even though the president is not going to be on the ballot, but there are going to be some very important people coming back to you, because they're about to come back home begging you for some money to support their campaign. But meanwhile, when you send them out there, they're not doing anything for you. They are not voting. And so you need to know what is their voting history. I'm going to contribute to candidates that I know are going to serve my best interests. And now they're going to come and and if you haven't heard the word platform is what people or candidates are running on. Incumbent is someone who's currently in the position and they want to be sent back. I say that if a candidate comes to me and they want me to vote, I want to know, will they institute term limits? I do not want to see these forever senators. I do not want to see these forever Supreme Court judges. Okay, I want and look at the pressure. When Clarence Thomas he's a professor at a particular college. I can't remember all these details, Calvin, but they protested. They protested that college. They went there and say, how could you have this man on your staff? And you know what? He resigned. He resigned because the pressure that he got from the school, they did not want to stand with him. They stood against him and told him he had to go. So you can't tell me that if there's power in our vote, and you can't tell me that we cannot put the pressure on these representatives to say, listen, you better get your act together and call them out. I'm a veteran. You didn't vote for this bill. Okay. I'm an insulin dependent. You didn't vote for this bill. Okay. You're giving all these tax breaks to these corporations. And in this bill that passed, corporations, particularly those making over $1 billion, are going to have to pay 15%. Why are we in this country in a deficit when we have only the top 1% making and controlling the funds? They don't want us down here to trickle the funds down to us. They want to keep it. And that's all part of the control. They're controlling the drug industry is controlling them. The gun industry is controlling them. And we need to let them know, you got to go.
Well, Renee, I have something that I want to put out there too, because, a lot of times we say, well, when we're talking to people and we say, well, the fruit don't fall far from the tree. Well, this is something that I want to put out there, and then I'm going to tell you who specifically I'm talking about. Sometimes the fruit falls
who you reading, quoting?
I'm quoting Malcolm X.
Okay.
This is who I'm quoting, and you know how long ago this was put out there, but it's so relevant to today. Okay, we have an incoming call. Let's see.
Oh, good morning, and good morning, and welcome to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Health. And who do we have the pleasure of speaking to? Yes, I can. Just come a little closer to your mic. We're doing great. We're talking about elections and consequences. So this is, I believe this is Ferris Dixon. And again, we're thanking you for calling in. And do you have a comment that you'd like to make? Okay, so this so that everybody understands, you graduated two mental health people, right? And what impact, who are they reporting to? Okay, so that if I okay. So
I think that's great because a lot of our community people in the community is not aware of that, and when someone get into the system, well, a lot of times they do have mental issues, and for the DA here in Pitt County to do something about that, I think is great.
okay, so oh, mm, all right. Well, sounds good. Now, are you going to be? Is this an ongoing program? Well, you'll be so you're going to select two more people to go through this program. Okay, all righty. Okay, very good. All right, well, thank you so much. I'm trying to figure out the DA, the district attorney.
District Attorney, we thank you so much for calling that because we never know who's listening to our show, and for you to call in and give us information, I really appreciate it. Thank you, and continue your work.
Okay.
No problem. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
You too.
Okay, so again, if you're here in Pitt County and you have a criminal background, there's an opportunity for you to get into a program, get some training, and become independent. And don't think because you have a criminal background that your life is all over. It could be your life beginning. Okay, so that again, thank you, District Attorney Ferris Dixon, for calling in. And listening audience, our show is almost coming to an end. We still have some time. And I think right before the break, we were talking about what would be the requirements of someone coming to you and asking for your vote. And again, we are broadcasting all over this country, even from in Africa. We have people commenting. We have people commenting from the Virgin Islands, so that they are just as concerned for what's going on here in this America. And Calvin, one of the things I always say is, where can we be black and safe in America? And if we do not start to own it and understand that elections have consequences, don't go, you, at this day and age, no one should walk into an election booth and look at the paper and say, I don't know any of these people. You can get your ballot right now that's going to be in November, and you can look at that ballot and you can say, well, this is, I have to see what this person is doing. Do not vote by name recognition. You should be voting only because this person has done what you asked them to do, or I'm not voting him back in. I'm going to take a look at the person who's running against them and now say whether or not they deserve my vote. People have to earn your vote. Okay, you do not just walk in there and give your vote away. And you should be educated. We do not tell you who to vote for, but we do say, do your homework, all right, and vote. And not only do you vote, but you take someone to vote with you. There's still some primaries going on, and we need to make sure that we get proper representation in these particular positions because our elections have consequences. And we have got to call out the election deniers, okay? We have got to call people out who supported the insurrection, that it was okay to go in, and then we have certain groups in Calvin who speak about police. Oh, the police, I love the police. Meanwhile, you had people in the Capitol killing, beating, stabbing, poking eyes out of the police force that was there to protect the Congress.
And see, this is what I don't understand, Renee. Because if you love someone or you even care, you don't have to love, just care about them. You're not gonna be beating them up, you know. And they're talking about, but we love the blue. Well, on January 6th, they showed that they really didn't love the blue. What they talk about is just words, and words again matters. You know, but again, you listen to Awesome Radio, News and Politics Today with Renee Boston Hill. We're here every Monday at 10 a.m. And Renee, you did it again. You know, you had a lot of information out there. And again, we want to thank our caller that called in.
Okay, and you too, Calvin. Okay, is that what you want me to get?
Oh, no. I give you. Look. I just talk about you. I put you up there. You don't. I'm fine.
I know you always do it, and we support each other. And thank you. We'll see you back here next week, Monday at 10 a.m. Have a good week.